Hey guys, welcome to episode number 71 of OG Toys. I'm OG. Today we're taking a look at some DC Direct figures. Now, since episode 67, where I put up a bit of an overview of my collection, and I put it out there, if you guys want to see something reviewed, give me a shout, and I'll do my best to get it reviewed on whatever figure you wanted. And a lot of requests have been for DC Direct. Now, it's kind of weird, and I'm thinking about this in hindsight. I haven't reviewed much of DC Direct. And almost the bulk of my collection is DC Direct. I have almost 200 DC Direct figures. I've been collecting that series, that product since back almost like 12 years ago, at least 10, 12 years ago, when they first came out with the very first series, which was the Hard Traveling Heroes, which had Green Arrow, Green Lantern, and Black Canary. And I actually still have those figures to this day, which is pretty cool. But the requests, they want to see some of my DC Direct figures, so I'm picking out some of my favorites. And Brightest Day, one of my favorite series. They made three series of figures, of three sets of four, and they did some classic characters, revamped them, finally gave them the kind of the redo treatment that they deserve, and they look phenomenal. Now, one of the things you're going to notice about these figures, as opposed to some of the other DC Direct figures, probably about a year or so before, is the skin tones. Now, in 2011, DC Direct was plagued with major delays on almost every single line they solicited, but well within reason. They produced some absolutely amazing figures, and what they did is totally revamp the skin textures on the figures. Now, you might be thinking, what? Skin textures? That's kind of weird. Yeah, it is. If you take a look at episode 67, I show a bit of the Hot Toys Christopher Reeve's Superman figure, and that figure has an amazing skin texture, which gives it almost that lifelike quality. Now, they tried to replicate that in these figures, and they did an outstanding job. If you compare them to some of the older DC Directs, they kind of look like crap compared to the way these guys look. They did such a great job on the paint applications. They did an amazing job on the new skin texture, and just blows away some of the other stuff, some other maybe first editions of these guys. They kind of look like crap compared to what they look like now. And what's cool about these price points, back in 2011, I paid $60 for this entire set. So $15 a figure for something this high quality. And it's just a shame that in Canada here, we got to pay almost anywhere up to $28 a DC Universe figure. And it's nowhere near as well crafted, sculpted as these guys, in my opinion. Hey, if you think they're great, if you think DC Universe is better, hey, fantastic, you're entitled to your own opinion, and there's nothing wrong with that. For my personal taste, and you've seen, I've done a couple comparison reviews, especially if you checked out the Green Arrow, Red Arrow review, there's some differences. But there's a series of action figures and collectibles for every discriminating taste out there, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with liking what you like. So, without any further ado, without me rambling on here, let's take a look at some of these figures. So the first figure on the review is going to be Hawkgirl. Now, Hawkgirl really gained a lot of popularity when she was on the Justice League show back a few years ago from Warner Brothers. It was the first time we really got a good exposure to Hawkgirl. I mean, she was in the old Super Friends series, just a couple episodes here and there. This is the first time we really did a great job on examining the character, her complexities, and just who she was. This figure is from the new Brightest Day series. So, after the Blackest Night, and I really hope that you guys have picked up Blackest Night and the Brightest Day. If you haven't, go to your comic book store, pick up the trades. Single issues are probably going to be a little expensive, and it's going to be the most economical way to try and get the complete series. Pick up a couple of trades and just sit down and read, because you are in for a hell of a ride. You get a lot of these cosmic events and these big events that Marvel or DC puts out, and some of the times after the event, the next series of issues is just back to normal status quo. There's some huge, and I mean huge, ramifications from Blackest Night which led into the Brightest Day, which led into some of the other things that really have shaped and affected not Marvel Universe, the DC Universe, and that was just the catalyst for what we got really now, the new 52. But this figure here, it's pretty stunning. It is really a word that comes to mind. Now, when I talked about the skin textures, Most figures have like a painted skin application if there is any exposed skin. This figure, if you take a close look, doesn't have any really paint applications. It looks like it's the way the plastic is molded, and the coloring process is just unbelievable. It looks like textured skin on this figure, and it's short of amazing the way they've put so much detail in this figure. Like I said, I only paid $15 for this figure, and it's definitely one of my favorites from DC Direct. I really enjoy the way they captured the look of the character. Just amazing. You can take a look. She even has a bit of gloss on her lips. Really good sculpting on these wings. Now, I have almost every single Hawkman, Hawkgirl figure that DC Direct's put out, and there's been some issues with the wings over the years. Either a loose ball joint or just way too many hinges. This, not a single problem. You got a nice tight socket ball joint, a little hinge to give the wings some flapping action, and that's it. That's all you need. And the sculpt on these wings is absolutely phenomenal. You can see every single feather here with every single stroke of that feather inside this sculpt here. It has ridges, really good black wash over to bring out all its different textures. Absolutely phenomenal. And as for the figure as well, we've got some really nice gloss paint, perfectly clean paint applications. You got a nice black wash on her armband. She comes with this really nice weapon. It's her mace. Simple, but just executed perfectly. Now, for articulation, DC Direct is not known for super articulated figures like the DC Universe, but the sculpts is where these things excel. So articulation-wise, not a lot of movement in the ball-jointed head. You got a ball joint on the shoulder. You don't have any kind of cut in the bicep. You have a pin at the elbow. You also have 360 on the wrist. Nothing in the waist or an ab crunch. You do have a T-crotch. It's a simple joint. And that's pretty much as high as you can go. And you have, it's a regular pin at the knee. Now, with that real lack of articulation, it doesn't hurt this figure, in my opinion. I just put these guys up on my display shelf, and just it's cool to have them together, standing on your display stand. So, articulation isn't super important. It has the necessary points that I appreciate. But, man, it's just the sculpt. The sculpt is what gets me. These figures are sculpted just beautifully. And this is from the Brightest Day Series 1 back in 2011. Hopefully you can still find some of these guys at your comic book store. Now I'm going to do the rest of the figures in succession here. So we're going to cover the entire wave. I don't want to skimp out on doing any kind of rushed video on these guys because they do deserve some really good attention. So this is probably my favorite one out of the first wave. Awesome job on Hawkgirl. Alright guys, stay tuned for more reviews coming shortly. Thanks for watching. See ya.